If you're shopping for a compact SUV right now, the options are pretty much endless. Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Hyundai Tucson, they pretty much dominate the conversation. But this is something different. This is the 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan. And it might be the most refined and grown-up compact SUV in the entire segment. Because for 2025, it seems Volkswagen has gone back to what they used to be great at. Interior quality, rock-solid road manners, and that subtle Audi-like vibe that made VWs a standout choice for a lot of people. At first glance, there's a lot to like, but there is no hybrid option here in the US. So if maximum fuel mileage is the goal, unfortunately, this isn't gonna be it. And it doesn't drive like a CX-50 on your favorite back road. So if elevated engagement and road feel is what you're after, there are better options. But this thing feels more premium than almost anything else in its class, and in a way that most modern crossovers today just don't. So, has Volkswagen finally found its groove again? Let's take a closer look at what just might be the most underrated new SUV of the year. The Tiguan is a hugely important model to Volkswagen. It's kind of wild to remember, but VW was late to the SUV party. Because while Toyota had the RAV4 and Honda was already dominating with the CR-V, VW didn't launch their first SUV, the Touareg, until 2002. And it was kind of a weird one. Co-developed with Porsche, it was heavy, expensive, came with a bonkers optional V10 twin-turbo diesel, and it was as focused on luxury and off-roading as it was confusing to pronounce. Then came the original Tiguan in 2007, which was finally VW's answer to the soft-roader crossover craze. And it worked, especially in Europe, where it quickly became one of the best-selling vehicles in the lineup. Here in the US, it took a little longer to catch on, but by the time VW lengthened the Tiguan, added a third row, and softened it up for American tastes, it became their best-selling vehicle, period. But there was a problem. For the last few years, VW's SUVs have all felt like they were chasing trends instead of setting them. The Atlas was big but bland. The last Tiguan was spacious but kind of sterile. The interiors felt cheap, the tech has been frustrating, and the VW magic was gone. But this new Tiguan feels like a return to form. More upscale, more solid, and way more in line with what made modern VWs great in the first place. Now, you might not notice it right away, but the new Tiguan has grown up. It's longer than before, has a more tapered roofline, and loses the boxier utilitarian vibe of the outgoing model. Up front, there's a new face that leans just enough into futuristic without going full spaceship. The optional light bar connects the slimmer LED headlights, and the lower grille now stretches across the front bumper in a wide, aggressive stance, especially on R-line trims like the one we've been driving. Around back, it's more of the same. Full-width taillight bar, sleeker surfaces, and a roof spoiler that actually helps aero. In fact, VW claims that drag coefficient has dropped from 0.33 to just 0.28, which is a big deal in the world of crossovers. That's sports sedan territory. There are new wheels available in 17 through 20-inch flavors, and the paint palette now includes bolder options like this avocado green pearl, which sounds like a cocktail and looks like a concept car, and yeah, our Tester's 20-inch wheels wrapped in all-season rubber definitely add to the visual swagger, even if they trade some ride softness to get there. While we're talking presents, we should mention this R-Line trim has illuminated badges, a black roof, and enough glossy black accents to make a designer at Beats headphones blush. But the best part? Even the base trim looks good. The proportions are just right, and nothing about it screams fleet special. If the old Tiguan blended into traffic, this one pokes its head out a bit more confidently, without trying too hard. It's still buttoned up in that classic VW way, but now with a bit more attitude. There's a new proximity key, which when enabled allows the car to wake up, greet you, and unlock as you approach, and lock again when you walk away. And inside, this thing might have you thinking, wait, this is a Volkswagen? Because compared to the outgoing model, and frankly most recent VWs, this interior feels like a full-on return to form. Material quality and panel fit is way up. And on our loaded SEL R-Line tester, it all comes wrapped in stitched leather, ambient lighting, walnut trim, and even massaging front seats, which is a segment exclusive. But here's the best part. Even in lower trims, the interior is a big step up. It's better sculpted and looks and feels more premium. VW clearly made comfort a top priority, and it shows whether you're in the base S or a fully loaded SEL R-Line. That solid VW feel, you know, the one that's been kind of missing from a lot of their products lately, well, it's back. This cabin feels heavier, more refined, more Audi adjacent than anything else Volkswagen sells outside the GTI. And the ride, paired with the more hushed interior, gives off big SUV energy, even though this is still a compact crossover. Screens! All trims now get a fully digital gauge cluster, and our car rocks the optional 15-inch touchscreen, which is massive. It's snappy, customizable, and actually pleasant to use once you take some time to play around with it. Climate controls are still touch sensitive, but they're now illuminated and better integrated, which means you can now be frustrated about adjusting the temp at night without diving into submit. The drive selector is now up on the steering column, which frees up some space in the center console. Personally, I think I prefer the old physical lever, but I don't mind the new toggle situation. There's a new multi-function knob that can toggle between volume, drive modes, and what VW is calling moods. By default, it's a volume knob, which means there are a total of 4 ways to adjust volume in here. But press it, and you have the option of cycling through drive modes, which alter steering and transmission mapping like you'd expect, and moods, which do things like alter audio settings and change the ambient lighting. Rear passengers get tons of headroom and legroom, USB-C ports, their own climate controls, and cargo space is a reasonable 26.5 cubic feet behind the second row, which turns into nearly 60 cubic feet with the seats folded. The floor is low, flat, and easy to load, and you get a spare tire. Of course, it's not all perfect though. You still have these annoying climate control sliders, and as far as I can tell, the start button isn't backlit for some reason, or even outlined in aluminum or anything to make it easier to find. Also, the edges of the doors have this sort of sharp edge that is honestly surprising to see given the perceived quality of everything else. The backup camera quality is laughably bad for a car built in 2025. Also, there's a hard edge on the sides of the seats that make them sort of uncomfortable to slide across. And this is probably just a me problem, but I can't quite get the seating position and steering wheel adjusted quite where I want them. Oh, some of the vehicle settings are hidden away and take some digging to find. Things like ambient lighting color, for instance, aren't listed under interior lights for whatever reason. And lastly, when you toss the car and park on an incline, it will automatically set the parking brake for you. That's a great feature, but it will not automatically release it when you shift it into gear like most of its competitors. You have to do it yourself or tap the accelerator, which isn't ideal. In short though, for the most part, it's everything VW fans have been begging for, and finally, it seems Volkswagen has listened. If the last Tiguan was a compact crossover trying to wear a GTI costume, the new one feels more like an Audi Q5 playing dress-up. This thing is noticeably more refined, not just in the cabin, but in the way it moves down the road. Under the hood is the still familiar E888 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, now on its 5th generation, but it's been massaged and revised, now with electronically controlled camshafts, new injectors, and a tweaked turbo setup. Output jumps from 184 to 201 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque with all-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive versions actually lose a little torque, but they're still plenty usable. It's all routed through an 8-speed automatic that's more relaxed than razor sharp, which fits this new car's vibe. There's still a bit of throttle lag, and I wouldn't call acceleration exactly brisk. But that said, it's not a performance SUV, and it's not trying to be. According to Volkswagen, their 4-motion all-wheel drive system has been recalibrated to be active rather than reactive, meaning it can vary up to 50% of the torque to the rear axle before sensing any wheel slip. The steering has gained a little weight this time around. Again, think more Audi, less Golf. And while it doesn't have the immediate turn-in snap of a Mazda or a BMW, it's stable, composed, and confidently planted at speed, with much higher grip in the corners than I was expecting. It's on the highway though, where the latest Tiguan feels almost German luxury car quiet. Thank the insulated windshield in this trim and improved aerodynamics. Road noise is minimal, wind noise is impressively hushed, and the overall sense of solidity is back. The thing feels dense in the best way possible. It's got the full suite of Volkswagen's latest driver assist tech that all works great, and ride quality walks that classic VW line. Firm, but never harsh. The suspension has just enough give to smooth out potholes, but it's still taut enough to keep the body in check when you toss it into a corner. As for the brakes, they're smooth and predictable, except when coming to a complete stop.
It's almost impossible to do the limo stop thing here, and if you bring it to a halt as gently as possible, it will stop and then start to creep forward again if you don't squeeze the pedal a bit harder. Now, this uses the Bosch brake-by-wire system, so maybe a future update will improve on that. Visibility is great, and it's still easily maneuverable despite the Tiguan's slightly longer wheelbase. So, no, it's not the most athletic crossover in its class, but it might just be the most well-rounded. It's quiet, composed, and has just enough agility to keep it interesting without trying too hard. For most buyers in this segment, I think that balance is gonna be exactly what they want.
Now, VW doesn't sell the Tiguan in a vacuum, and in this class, you've got some serious competition, like the Toyota RAV4, which is the sales champ for a reason. It's reliable, spacious, and now with the 2026 redesign, including a new GR Sport trim, it's coming for enthusiasts and families alike. Then there's the Honda CR-V, which continues to nail the basics with great fuel economy, a smooth hybrid option, and that Honda reputation for long-term durability. There's the Hyundai Tucson and its Kia Sportage cousin, which both offer bold styling, a hybrid and PHEV option, and the longest warranty in the biz. And of course, there's the Mazda CX-50, which we loved for its driving dynamics and upscale cabin, but it doesn't feel quite as futuristic inside as this VW. Compared to all of those, the Tiguan feels like the sleeper pick. You're not buying it because it screams performance or because it gets 40 miles to the gallon. You're buying it because it does everything really well and it feels better put together than most of its rivals. The Mazda might drive better, the Toyota and Honda get better mileage, but the Tiguan looks sharp, drives refined, and feels expensive even when it really isn't. And if this is a sign of where VW is headed next, then yeah, Volkswagen is firmly back in the fight. Quietly, confidently, and maybe even stylishly late to the hybrid party, but very much worth your attention. But what do you think? Is the new Tiguan quietly brilliant, or still flying too far under the radar? Let us know down in the comments, and if you've driven one or cross-shopped against the CR-V, RAV4, or CX-50, well, I want to hear your take. Make sure to hit that like button if this helped you out, and subscribe for more real-world car reviews just like this. My name's Trav, this is Ideal. Big thanks to Volkswagen for lending me your car for the week, and of course, an even bigger thanks to all of you for watching. I'll see you all with a fresh video next week.